In Genesis 11 verses 1 to 9, the Holy Bible tells us a story about the Tower of Babel. This is the story. After the great flood in the days of Noah, all the people of the world spoke the same language. Everyone could understand each other perfectly because they all used the same words. It didn't matter where you went or who you talked to. Everyone communicated easily. The people began to move across the land, looking for good places to settle. Finally, they found a large, flat area in a place called Shinar, modern-day Mesopotamia. This land was fertile, which means it was good for growing food. The people decided to stop traveling and build a city there where they could live together as one big group. As they worked together, they came up with an idea. Let's build a tower so tall it reaches the heavens. It will make us famous and keep us united so we don't get scattered all over the earth. Building a tower was no easy task, but these people were very determined. In those days, people didn't have concrete or steel like we do nowadays. They had to make their own building materials. So they made bricks by mixing clay with water, shaping it, and then baking the bricks in a fire to make them hard. They also used tar to stick the bricks together like glue. The people worked day after day, stacking the bricks higher and higher. Their tower grew taller and taller, and they were very proud of what they were building. You might wonder why they wanted to build such a tall tower. It wasn't just because they thought it would be fun. They had a few reasons. Reason number 1, to show off. They wanted everyone to see their tower and think they were very smart and powerful. Reason number 2, to stay together. They didn't want to spread out over the earth like God had told them to after the flood. Reason number 3, to be like God. By building a tower to reach the heavens, they thought they could make themselves as great as God. But there was a problem. This plan wasn't what God wanted for them. God had told them to fill the earth and take care of it, not to stay in one place and try to make themselves famous. In heaven, God saw what the people were doing. He watched as they worked together, making their tower taller and taller. But God wasn't pleased. He knew their hearts were full of pride, and they weren't obeying Him. So God said, if they keep working together like this, there's nothing they won't be able to do. They'll grow more proud and drift further away from me. God decided to stop them before their pride caused even bigger problems. One day, as the people were busy working on their tower, something strange happened. Suddenly, they couldn't understand each other anymore. God had made everyone start speaking different languages. Imagine trying to talk to your friends and not understanding a single word they say. One person might ask for a brick, but the other person hears, "Bring me a stick." It would be very confusing. The workers started arguing and getting frustrated because they couldn't figure out what anyone was saying. They couldn't work together anymore, since they couldn't understand each other. They stopped building the tower. The city they had started remained unfinished, and the people began to spread out across the earth, just as God had wanted them to in the first place. The tower became known as the Tower of Babel, because Babel sounds like the Hebrew word for confusion. It was a reminder of what happens when people try to do things their way instead of following God's plan. The story of the Tower of Babel teaches us some very important lessons. Lesson number 1. Pride can be dangerous. The people wanted to build the tower because they were proud and wanted to make themselves great. But pride can make us forget about God and His plans for us. Lesson number 2. We need to obey God. God told the people to spread out and fill the earth, but they didn't listen. When we follow God's instructions, things go much better for us. Lesson number 3. God is in control. Even though the people thought they were in charge, God showed them that He is the one in control. His plans are always better than ours. Lesson number 4. The power of unity. When the people worked together, they were able to do amazing things. Unity is powerful, but we should use it to do good things that honor God, not to disobey Him. Today, there are many different languages spoken all over the world, thousands of them. This diversity of languages reminds us of the Tower of Babel. But even though we speak different languages, we can still work together to do good things and share God's love with others. The story also reminds us to trust God and follow His plans. He knows what's best for us, even when we don't understand why. After the people scattered, they spread out across the earth and formed new communities. They learned to speak new languages, live in new places, and develop new cultures. Even though they were far apart, God still loved them and wanted them to follow Him. Many years later, God sent His Son, Jesus, to bring people back together. Jesus taught us to love one another, no matter where we come from or what language we speak. In conclusion, the Tower of Babel is a story about how people tried to make themselves great instead of listening to God. It shows us the importance of humility, obedience, and trusting God's plan. Even when things don't go the way we expect, we can trust that God is working for our good. So, the next time you see a tall building or hear someone speaking a different language, think about the Tower of Babel and remember to follow God's way, because His way is always the best way. Shalom.